But you say there's no debate about whether Trump's a racist, and a lot of people would agree with you on that. And in fact, there's been an explosion in the number of anti-Muslim, far-right, white nationalist groups in the US over the past couple of years. Your own state of Minnesota experienced a record number of anti-Muslim incidents in 2016. You yourself, I believe, just a few weeks after your election victory, I think you had a cab driver call you filthy and ISIS and threaten to remove your hijab. How much do you hold Trump and the rise of Trump responsible for this explosion of US Islamophobia?
Oh, I would actually come very short of holding them exclusively responsible for the rise. I think when you demonize and dehumanize, it is easy for people to commit acts of violence against those individuals, because they no longer see them as a person, as someone who has feelings, who's worthy of respect. And I think that is where we are moving away from the idea that we are supposed to be a welcoming nation.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
But most of the funding and attention, even under Obama, obviously went towards Muslim communities. One of those communities is in Minnesota, your state, the Somali American community in Minnesota, where I think over the past few years more than 20 young Somali Americans have left to go and fight for ISIL or Al-Shabaab or one of these quote-unquote jihadist groups abroad. That's a real threat, obviously. No one's pretending it's not a threat. So what do you do about it?
But I mean, I think, like I said, the focus of our policies should be about keeping Americans safe, keeping us domestically safe, and where we actually find a solution is looking at our foreign policy, looking at how we are engaging with the members of these communities, and the kind of rhetoric, right, like that is being spewed out of leaders within our city halls, within our state capitals, and within our nation's capital.
Some would say that's true. There's some really bad rhetoric coming from politicians, security leaders, etc. But also a lot of bad rhetoric coming from Muslim community leaders, imams, etc. Right. Is that fair?
I think both of those statements could be true, and I think it just goes to show what happens when you have segments within communities that are using fear and hate to mobilize their base. And it is important for us to actually have a conversation about what kind of communities we are trying to build and what this nation actually stands for.
In an interview last